You guys, these rings were wild. I went to an estate sale and they had a sandwich baggie full of old sterling silver Native American jewelry that was broken, falling apart. There was like one earring, just all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I saw these two turquoise inlay rings and I thought, okay, I've done a little bit of inlay work, but we are going to try these out. So thank you for being here. Let's do this. First, I'm taking an X-Acto knife. Be careful because I have stabbed myself so many times with an X-Acto knife. I should have a warning label on me, I swear. Watch out for sharp objects, Audra. Anyway, so I used this X-Acto knife to dig out and loosen all of this old turquoise inlay on this silver. And oh my gosh, you guys, it stunk. It smelled so bad. You can see on this ring that the solder joint where the ring came together even broke. These were pretty beat up. I wasn't sure if I would be able to get them completely cleaned out, if I would be able to fix them. Really had no idea, but I was up for the challenge and I thought it would be really fun. And I'm glad you're here with me. This was an interesting process, and I'm so glad that you joined me. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, comment on my videos, ask questions if you have them. I would appreciate it. Interesting, as I was digging this out, it's amazing how much dirt buildup gets in there. I don't know how they used to do these, if they've always done them, with what, how. I did a little bit of research. I've done a little bit of inlay work before. And so I just was kind of winging it. That's how I kind of do everything. I jump in the deep end, paddle really hard, and figure it out along the way. And that's kind of been my journey in silversmithing. There was a lot of dirt in here, a lot of really gross stuff that wasn't epoxy, wasn't turquoise. I don't even want to know what it was. The more I thought about it, the more gross I was. It was really grossed me out. But I did my best to get in here and get this all cleaned out, so that I could get these cleaned up and see if I could re-inlay some beautiful turquoise. I thought that this would be really epic if they turned out. And that being said, I hope that you're having a really good day. I hope that this finds you well. The world's kind of in a crazy place right now, and so it's fun to find something that you enjoy, something that you can be a part of. I'm really hoping to create a community here where I can teach a few things that I've learned along the way, share my passion about the things that I do, make friends, meet other like-minded makers, artists. I really want to grow this into something fun. So thank you for being here. This last one, man, this was tricky to get out of here. It did not want to come. This one was like, you're going to stab yourself doing this. I know you are. Believe me, I'm pretty sure. I think I might have stabbed myself during this one. I videoed this a little while ago. I decided to do it the other way, so I wasn't pointing right at my hand, even though my finger's still right there in the path, right? Brilliant, Audra. Brilliant. Just brilliant. I went to Army Surplus store. That little thing that I'm using right now is actually a dental tool that I got at the Army Surplus store. This is whitewater turquoise, and I'm trying to go in with these pliers, and I was breaking off some of the chert or the host. I didn't want much of the host in there. These were also stabilized pieces that I got out of an estate, and so some of that was like the stabilization material that they use. And so I wanted to break this up into some small pieces so that then I could crush it, kind of like a mortar and a pestle. And believe it or not, handy. Having a mortar and pestle, I want to get one now because this was quite fun and it was a little bit difficult. I used a makeshift. That's always me, I swear. I grew up just figuring crap out. If I didn't have a tool, I find something to make it, and that's kind of been my whole life. I know it probably drives some people crazy, but to me it's just been like, well, some things you have, some things you don't, And if you don't, you've got something laying around somewhere, you do, that will work. Hopefully you don't always ruin it when you do. But this turquoise was really fun. This was actually a very satisfying process. Taking this turquoise and breaking it into small bits so then I could even crush it into smaller bits so I could inlay it. And that's the end right there. That was pretty gross. I don't know if that was host or if that was parts of the epoxy that was just part of the stabilization. That's the word. Sorry, I was floundering around here trying to figure out what that was. But this was pretty cool. Again, it was just such a satisfying. Some people it's almost like the fidget toys that certain people have that just satisfies whatever that need is. But this was really a fun process. Anytime you watch my videos, truly, if you have a question about what I'm using or why I'm using it or where I got it, or you just want to say, hey, I would love for you to say hi. I love to know who's here, who's watching, where you're watching from. What do you do? Are you an artist as well? Do you do silver work? Are you a different kind of artist? How did you come upon my channel? Super fun for me to know who's here. I love interacting with you. I love seeing where you're from and what you do and who you are. And I would love to give you a follow back if you have your own channel. Okay, so I had already crushed a whole bunch of this. I used a makeshift, really. And so I used 330 epoxy. So it was a 2-part epoxy that was a quick set. And I mixed it with my crushed turquoise. And I'm using it and filling in all of those little spots. Now, you can see I am not being very careful. It is goopy and it is all over the place. But I didn't care because I knew I was going to be grinding it off anyway. All I was worried about here in this process, and I'm doing it with a toothpick so that I could push it down into those little corners. And because this was a quick set epoxy, I had to work fairly quick. Not as quick as my sped up video. It felt like I was going that fast because I was worried about it setting up too much. But I get down in there and really started just pushing things in the spot. And then that ring, I moved it to the side and kind of let it sit with the top side up so it could start to set up a little bit without hanging it on something and having it droop down and fall out of those spots. So I did this in 2 steps. I used the first part of epoxy, filled halfway on each of these. Excuse me. But yeah, that's what it looked like before I started. Tell me how nuts that is. So there it is, all the broken pieces. Then I come back to, here I am. So cleaned out, and once everything was cleaned out, and I forgot to tell you this, I went in and I used a little burr bit and really cleaned out those spaces, and then I cleaned it out with alcohol. So there was no oils, no leftover residue, no anything. And here is me filling the second part of that first ring. And so this was sticky and it was messy and it was gross. And look at it. It looks horrible. It looks like, how in the world is that ever going to be anything good? And believe it or not, they turned out pretty cool. This is a super fun process, especially I paid 50 cents for a whole bag of old jewelry, sterling silver jewelry. Okay, so this is the ring. After everything had set up, you can see that there's epoxy and turquoise everywhere. It dried all over the place, but I was confident enough that I could make it work to a point that it wasn't going to matter how messy. I knew I at least covered it in as much as it needed to be, that once I ground down the extra, we'd be good. So here I am on my trusty old lapidary wheels. Look at that thing. Freaking beast. I'm telling you guys, we have cut more cabs on this than I can't even tell you. Thousands and thousands and thousands. It is an old workhorse. And here I am using a hard, they call this a hard wheel. It's diamond, crushed diamond on a hard wheel. And I am grinding down all of that extra so that I can get it down to where the silver is without going too far. And so it's just tricky. It's just using enough pressure to start getting it down. You see, now you can start to see the pattern in there. So using enough pressure to grind away the epoxy and the turquoise without grinding into the silver too much. I didn't want to mar up the silver. I knew I'd catch a little bit of it, but I knew it would be okay. If only it went this fast in real life. You guys, this was a freaking messy project, but I loved it. I had so much fun. And this is a 220 grit diamond wheel that I'm using. And so I've got it ground down pretty good. Now I'm taking it on my soft wheels. And so these are, again, crushed diamond on softer wheels that aren't quite as abrasive. And I'm making sure that I'm even with my turquoise, that it matches up with the silver, that it doesn't have any dips or divots or lumps. And so just, again, going slowly through the process, getting everything right, and super fun. This machine, though, I have to tell you, these old time machines, they sometimes can be the best. The newer machines can be awesome, but I just love this old beast. Those are 3-inch wide wheels, and there's so much room to work on them. That's why I love this machine. And it just makes all the difference in the world to me. Super fun process. I love doing what I get to do. This is so absolutely fun. Because you just never know. And when I spent 50 cents, even if I ruined it, it's a learning process, right? It didn't matter if it was fantastic. If I learned something and I had fun along the way, that's all that counts. Life's too short to fuss over the things that we have no control of and to not make the most of the moments we have. We are never promised another day. So look at that. So fun. These came out so good, you guys. I'm so freaking stoked. Look at that. Great set.